Hey everybody, how's it going?
Great, thanks for asking.
That is Andy, I am Mark, and we are the owners of Yeet Street Discs. And we're going to go over, in this video, the top selling discs on the street in 2024.
A few surprises.
A few surprises of discs that were on the list and discs that weren't on the list.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be surprising. And you would think, given the fact that we're in the Carolinas, that the list would just be replete with Innova.
Yeah.
And it may be.
Problem is there's way too many choices.
There are a lot of choices, but put down in the comments who you think the top brand represented in our top 10 is going to be. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started.
Number 10, the Discraft Zone.
Not that surprising.
There you go,
To have the Zone on there, because usually when people are talking about a slot in their bag, they reference an Innova disc. Like the T-Bird, that's a slot. The Destroyer, that's a slot. But when people talk about overstable approach disc, it's almost always the Zone.
Yeah.
So other companies are trying to create their version of the Zone. So very popular, and it's funny that you had the titanium one there because they came out with the Zone in the new titanium, and that flew off the shelves. It sold really well. So not surprising that the Zone is in the top 10.
A little overstably off the shelf, but it flew.
But so not surprised that that came in at number 10.
Not surprised. And actually, it could have probably been higher if every other company doesn't also make a Zone.
So the Innova coming out with the Toro obviously ate into that a little bit. So, but yeah, everybody is trying to come up with their version of the Zone, but not surprised. Good on Discraft. Number 9, the Innova Mako 3.
Not surprising, because when someone new comes in and is trying to figure things out, that's one of the main ones that I'll recommend.
It's also one that I would recommend. And my lovely and talented wife, Sarah, God bless her, she learned early on that when a new player came in, she heard me recommend the Mako 3. So that's all she would recommend. She would say, you need a Mako 3. Yeah. So, but yeah, a large portion of our customer base is new, relatively new. And the Mako 3 being a neutral flyer just makes sense for a newbie to get out there, not only because it flies relatively straight, you don't have to worry about it dumping hard left, but it also can tell you by what angle you threw it on, whether or not, if you're trying to throw it flat and you throw it like this, it's going to go left, so you know you didn't throw it flat. So it really helps you kind of laser in your, hone in on your throw. So yeah, makes sense that the Mako 3 would be in the
It's a tattletale disc. It tells you exactly what you're doing wrong. Number 8, the Axiom X.
So basically the overmolded version of the Mako 3.
Pretty much.
I mean, that's what it is. It's a neutral flying mid. And a lot of people, they gravitate towards the overmolds. They love their Axiom MVP discs. So, and everybody and their brothers seems to be throwing a heck. So I'm actually a little surprised it's not higher up on the list, but not surprised it's in the top 10.
Yeah, I think Axiom actually got a big bump because of the looks of their disc, and they started doing this like swirly edge molding.
That definitely makes it look a little bit cooler. So, and again, people want nothing more than to look cool in the course.
Yeah,
except you and I, we clearly don't have it.
We're beyond help.
Right. So, but again, not surprised. Good disc. Actually, it's kind of funny because before we came out with our mid range, I went from Mako 3 to the Hex. So I don't have a lot of overmolds in my bag, but that was certainly one that I had for a while before it got kicked out by another mid-range.
I do have a Hex in my bag in the glow plastic, and that is just a staple.
In your regular bag?
In my glow bag.
Okay, so when you go to glow round, the Hex is your go-to.
It's just great.
Okay.
It does exactly what you need it to do.
It is great. It's a good disc. Number 7, the MVP Glitch. Again, no surprise.
Not really surprising.
When this first came out, I think this came out in 23, it was one of the top 5 discs that we sold, and it would have been number 1 in 23 if it weren't for the fact that it was just so hard to get them in.
Right.
And it just continued its success into 24. And again, the only thing that slowed it down was the fact that we just couldn't get them fast enough, and we couldn't keep them in the shop.
Yeah, not only is it a great selling disc, but it's probably the disc that we had the most phone calls about. They would call, hey, do you have any glitches in?
Okay. I clearly didn't answer the phone much.
Right.
Because I didn't know that's true. But it makes sense because everybody, you couldn't find them online. You couldn't find them in Play It Again Sports or whatever. So it makes sense that they would call up and say, hey, I'm looking for a glitch.
It probably would have been a little higher had not the pitch and the parachute and the spore come out
again
this year.
Yeah, so everybody kind of came out with their version. Of course, the first other two that you mentioned are still in the MVP family. But I did play in a glitch-only tournament. Actually did fairly well, but I cannot putt with the glitch. I kept hitting the pole, literally the pole under the basket. That's how bad I was putting with the glitch. So throwing it did okay, but needless to say, I don't bag a glitch. Do you bag a glitch?
I do for fun.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nothing.
It's in my bag.
We're nothing if not fun.
Yeah.
So, excellent.
Number 6, MVP Trail.
This should be number 1.
It should be.
I mean, we couldn't keep it in the shop. As soon as I got new ones in, they immediately went out. But again, MVP's having a little bit of a production issue. They're trying to get their legs back under them. But this thing just flew off the shelves. And the funny thing about the Trail is there were people on the YouTubes that were saying this is potentially the best disc ever. Ever.
Wow.
I know. But that clearly ratcheted up the popularity, and it must be true because, again, everybody was buying it and we couldn't keep it in the store.
Yeah. I don't bag one of these, but mainly because I've never thrown one, mainly because we never had them in stock. They would just... I have a rule, you can't buy anything that's still up high in demand until it's been in the shop for a couple weeks.
That's a good, responsible rule for an owner to have.
Because I like you guys.
I do have one, although I did get it in this last batch that we've got in. And the amazing thing about the Trail, and many of you all may know this already, or maybe don't, first 10-speed ever produced by MVP.
Yeah. Wow.
What took them so long?
Yeah.
I guess they were waiting to produce the best disc ever, so it was worth the wait. But my take on it so far is I keep hitting early trees with it, so I'm not quite sure how it flies. So as soon as I don't hit a tree with it, I'll let you all know whether or not the Trail is going to stay in my bag or not.
All right.
Number 5, the Axiom Crave. So, big fan of Sarah Hokum. She actually stopped by the shop not too long ago. And again, I say I'm a big fan of hers, even though I have no forehand whatsoever to speak of. But I've met her on several occasions. Very nice. Met her dog.
Yeah.
The Crave, it's basically a higher speed hex is what it is.
Right.
It's considered a 6.5. I actually bag a Crave. I only have 2 overmolds in my bag. Well, 3 if you count the Trail. And this is one of them. And loved it from the first day that I threw it. And the thing that I love about it is it feels like I'm throwing a mid-range, but it flies like a driver. And if you put it on a little bit of an angle, you'll get that skip flare from it as well. So, but again, as far as, again, new players, if they're going to try out their first driver, Crave is an excellent first driver. It's neutral flying. Depending on the plastic, maybe it can get a little bit overstable, but as soon as you beat it in, it's going to fly pretty neutrally. And just another good disc for newbies and old bees like myself.
I actually have 3 in my bag. So I've got
You're a maniac.
R2 that's kind of got the glow rim. I use that a lot for my glow rounds.
That would make sense.
Yeah, it does.
Do you not use it for glow rounds? I mean, for anything else?
I do, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like the flight of it. It's got a little bit of flex in it. I've got one that's really well beaten in that's got a lot more turn into it, and then I can like hyzer flip that. And then I've got one that just looks good.
Well, again, as we stated earlier, there's nothing more important than looking good on the course.
Yeah. Number 4, Innova Destroyer. There you go.
Thank you, Calvin Heimberg.
Yes. So I would say this probably sells a lot because every plastic of the Destroyer flies very differently from my experience.
Yeah, and people like, if you all saw Evan Smith's in the bag video, he has 3 different Destroyers in his bag because they all fly at different levels of stability, and he kind of likes having those different options. So if he's facing a strong headwind, he's got one that's really stable. If he's got a tailwind or no wind, he's got one that kind of flies straight with a little hook at the end. So the other thing too is it comes in a lot of plastics, pretty much all of them except for maybe XT. I don't think it comes in XT, but and not only that, but again, I mentioned this earlier, but when people talk about that power driver that everybody needs, it's the destroyer or a destroyer-like clone that people talk about. It's just probably in the history of disc golf, it's probably the first or second most sold disc ever, probably. Behind maybe the Buzz. But yeah, it's just a popular disc, and people still gravitate towards it. And if they want to start bombing, they choose the destroyer.
Yeah.
Except for us, because neither one of us bag a destroyer because we can't bomb. And now for some honorable mentions. So these are the 3 discs that were just outside the top 10. Kind of surprised that one of them wasn't in the top 10. Matter of fact, I'm surprised it's not even in the top 5, and that's the Discraft Buzz.
Yeah.
Buzz came in at number 11 for us. But again, if you think about it, a Hex kind of flies like a Buzz. A Mako 3 kind of flies like a Buzz. So the fact that those things have definitely gained in popularity, it kind of eroded the market share that the Buzz held on to for so long.
Right.
And I think the other thing also has to do with the fact that this area isn't necessarily a huge Discraft area. We do have some people who are loyal to Discraft. But yeah, the Buzz came in at number 11, which was surprising. And then at number 12, another one that I thought for sure would be in the top 10 was the Axiom Proxy. Yeah. I know you're a fan of the Proxy.
I love the Proxy.
That's your go-to throwing putter. I don't have a Proxy, but again, the Envy and the Proxy, they just fly off the shelves.
Yeah.
And then coming in at number 13, and it probably would have been in the top 10 if it had been released earlier in the year, was the Innova Gorgon. Yeah. That is a disc that I do bag, but we got them. Do you bag a Gorgon?
I bag it as well, yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
How about that?
Go figure.
Twinsies. But we got all 3 of the plastic types when they first came out. They all sold out immediately. And again, it took them a while before they actually got them back in stock. But they definitely flew off the shelves. If they had released that in February, I'm sure it probably would have been the top 10.
Yeah.
But those 3 unfortunately didn't make the top 10, but they were close. So we thought they deserved some honorable mention.
Yeah.
Number 3, the Axiom Envy.
Nice.
Thank you, James Conrad.
Yeah.
Thank you for what you did back in 2021. When we first opened up, we were literally only open for a couple months. And then the holy shot happened, and then we could not keep these discs in stock for like the rest of 2021.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted it.
We hadn't sold one before that.
That's probably not true. But in a relative sense, it felt like we hadn't sold one, and then they flew off the shelves. But this is, now, I almost said this is our best-selling putter. It actually isn't our best-selling putter, but it's awfully close. And this is one that both you and I bag. And speaking of glow bags, I actually, and I have a glow here because I think the strength of the Envy selling is this is probably our most sold glow disc.
Yeah.
People love the Glow Envy. Matter of fact, I put a Glow Envy in my bag, even though I didn't throw it normally, and was realizing that I was just striping it in these glow rounds. I'm like, why am I not putting this in my bag?
Yeah.
So, and of course, you've been telling me to throw an Envy or a Crave for forever anyway.
It works in the daytime too.
It does. So put one in my bag. It works well, but the strength of the glow disc, I think, helped catapult it up to the number 3 spot. But just given the fact that people just love this, I know some people who putt with it, but I think for the most part, 99% of the time, people are using it to throw. Great throwing putter. So if you need a throwing putter, I definitely would look into the Envy. It made a believer out of me.
Yeah. Number 2, Yeet Street Disc Petra. Yes, we did not cook the books on this one. This is legit.
This is legit. And again, any other yokel who's doing a top 10, top 20 list, they're probably not going to have this on their list. And we understand that. Yeah. But we're big fans of it. And the reason why I no longer throw the Mako 3 is because of the Hex. The reason I no longer throw the Hex is because of the Petra.
Yeah. This is why the Mako 3 and the Hex didn't do better.
That's right. List. That's probably why. But this was number 2 selling. And by the way, the drop off after number 3, after the Envy, to the rest of the group, these top 3 are by far our top performing discs. And obviously, when people come in, I'm going to recommend the Petra. We love the Petra. Evan Smith, the pro that we sponsor, he actually, if you see his card, his disc golf card, on the back, he actually has Ethereum Petra as one of his go-to discs. He calls it basically a more glidey or a glidier buzz, a glidier, slightly more understable buzz. And he actually kicked the buzz out of his bag because he had the Petra.
Like you do.
He also has the Berry, which kind of flies similar. So, but we could not be happier with how this disc came out. It was a labor of love for us. I'm representing today, the kind of foreshadowing on my shirt.
Yeah.
But if you guys have not checked out the Petra, we have them online. Check it out. It's, again, kind of a neutral flying mid-range. And you and I both bag it. We both love it.
Yeah, I bag too.
Of course you do. Number 1, the Axiom Simon Line Pixel. I didn't believe it at first when I ran the numbers. But again, Simon is muy popular.
Yeah.
People love Simon. And when they came out with this putter, again, they had 2 different versions. They had the special edition with the little Donkey Kong pixelated picture on it. And then they also had the stock run. And they just flew off the shelves when it first came out. There's plenty of people that I know that actually putt with the Pixel. Neither you nor I putt with it, nor have we ever putt with it. But it's just been super popular, basically because it's Simon's go-to putter now.
Yeah, I think it's got 2 things going for it as far as the sales go. Number 1, I think Simon probably could put his name on the narwhal and said, "I'm putting with this," and that would have been number 1.
You're probably right.
But also the fact that it's a putting putter, and a lot of people build up a stack of putting putters when they come in, and so advantage to putting putters as far as volume sale.
We do sell these in multiple quantities to people, but I just didn't think I didn't think that we would have sold more than we did Envies or even Proxies for that matter. But no, the Axiom Simon Line Pixel was our top seller for 2024. Who knew?
Who knew?
So that's the top 10. And I asked earlier what you all thought would be the number 1 manufacturer, and it's Axiom.
Yeah.
It's not even MVP. It's Axiom with 4. They had 4 molds that were in our top 10. Now, MVP did have 2, so if you want to talk about the umbrella, they had 6. They had more than half of our top 10. But Innova came in with 2. MVP had 2. Yeet Street Discs had 1, and Discraft had 1. But this was a top 10 that was dominated by the MVP Axiom line. Any surprises?
So I honestly was surprised that the return of the beaded putter in the form of the Kratos did not get up on that list.
It was surprising to me. The Kratos hasn't sold nearly as well. Matter of fact, even after the Kratos came out, I bet we still sold more Lunas than we did Kratos. Weird.
I wonder, did we run the stats on how many beaded discs we sold versus this year than last year? Because I think people generally just hate the bead. I don't know.
So I didn't do that mainly because I just didn't have the time, and I was too afraid that my Rock 3 would just be relegated to the nether regions. But yeah, so I was actually surprised that Discraft didn't have more in the top. I think if we went top 20, I think there was a couple other Discraft molds. Of course, the Buzz came in at number 11. And I think there was another Discraft mold that made it in the top 20, but I was kind of surprised that wasn't more popular. And I was quite frankly surprised that Axiom was on there more than MVP was, which, again, the fact that the Simon line is Axiom probably had something to do with it. And the fact that Axiom did come up with these swirly rims instead of the monotone color rims probably had something to do with it. But I'm just excited that the Petra came in at number 2. Yeah. I couldn't be happier. I was surprised it was number 2, it was close to the Pixel. It was close. It was neck and neck, but the Pixel did come out. But I think overall, the other ones that we kind of knew, we knew the glitch was going to be in there. We knew the trail. The detour, I thought the detour was going to be in the top. I think detour came in at number 14 or 15. So it was close. That was another popular James Conrad disc. So so they're doing great things over there at MVP. They're getting production up to a better speed, but it's still a little bit behind. But they're doing something right up there in Michigan.
Yeah, and every time they make a winner, it negatively affects their ability to keep up. So, they're doing it to themselves.
I just hope that they don't end up signing. Who else is left? Who hasn't signed yet? I hope they're not signed by him because that's going to put them behind even more. So
Ricky is going to go there.
Oh man, it's going to kill us. So if you check the link in the description of this video, we're actually going to have a blog post that actually lists out the top 50 molds that we sold in 2024. And we'll also have a breakdown of popularity by brand. So you can see what the popular brands were. We'll probably do like the top 10 or top 15. I don't know, whatever makes sense. So check that out in the description. And if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing to our channel and commenting down below with anything that you thought was weird that we didn't have in our top 10. Or something in our top 10 that should be in top 10.
And if you want to affect next year's, the clock is running. Come and buy a lot of your favorites.
And
if you want to make it on the list.
If you're wondering why the Lone Star Bearcat did not make the top 10, it's because you did not come in and buy enough Lone Star Bearcat. So
we've still got 2 right here.
So with us, so come on in. But also make sure you hit the notification so that you can get notified whenever we do another. We're going to start running these out now that we got our social media guru Dylan in-house. We're going to be pumping out some more videos, so hopefully you can catch the videos when they come out by clicking on the notification button. Anything else?
I'm just waiting for the warm weather.
Okay, well, it's going to come. Well, we're going to hit Florida. We're going to get a little bit warmer down there. So anyways, thanks for watching the video, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. If you can make Andy look cooler.
Right, yeah. I'll just edit sunglasses on him for the entire.
Yeah, okay.